Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on this cold, rainy night. And I'm sorry that it's not going to get any better in the next 2 days. I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Common Council of the City of West Bend. It's Monday, April 1st, 2024. More than 24 hours in advance of this meeting, notice of the time, place, date, and subject matter of the meeting was posted in accordance to Wisconsin state statutes. Clerk, can you confirm this meeting was properly posted?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We recognize a quorum of our Common Council here present tonight. Our first item of business is approval of the minutes of our regular meeting held on March 18th, 2024.
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you, Alderman Model, I think. And second by Alderman Allen. Any comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Chief Deering, I invite you to the microphone for a promotion of one of your sergeants.
Thank you very much. Again, I appreciate us taking the time. I know we have a lot on the agenda and a lot of important stuff to talk about, but it's a great pleasure of ours to celebrate. I know I've given this speech a number of times to you now, but we see him at the beginning and we see him at the end. We're going to make sure there's a lot that goes on in between those 30, 35 years of service to the community. So tonight we're here to celebrate the promotion of Justin Hill to Sergeant. Justin, come on. And we're going to start with the oath.
State your name.
I, Justin Hill,
Having been appointed
having been appointed
as Sergeant of Police
as Sergeant of Police
in the City of West Bend,
in the City of West Bend,
Washington County,
Washington County,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of said office
the duties of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
So while they're making it official, I'd like to brag about Justin a little bit. Justin just celebrated his 11th year anniversary here at the police department just in February. While I was reviewing for the night, I found some similarities. Justin's a graduate of Sheboygan South High School. I was a Manitowoc Lincoln graduate, and your fellows beat me in wrestling quite a bit. And then we attended Stevens Point. I was shocked to do the math and figure it was 20 years later, but we are both Pointers, so go Pointers. So Justin has had a great career with us already, well on his way to making a huge difference here at the police department, very well respected. He's on our SWAT team, he's on the Honor Guard. One of the things that I rely on him very heavily is his work as an FTO, a field training officer. So he's been a supervisor in the field, training our new officers on what we here at West Bend believe is the way to protect and serve our community, and he does a fantastic job. So much so when we identify a candidate that maybe needs a little bit extra work, a little bit more fine-tuning, Justin is always the FTO that we go to, and I'm very grateful for that. You don't have to stand so far away. That's great. So it's good. So just finished up a pretty arduous tour in our drug unit. It's not an easy job. Justin, I know everyone in this room knows that Justin was the guy that was here all the time. If there was any kind of incident going on, he could be relied on. If I walked in, whatever day it was, Justin was here working his cases. And that, as I talked to a lot of our partners here in the room, that's the one thing that we kept hearing over and over is his work ethic, his hard work ethic. He is someone who gets the job done. So glad to have you join the rank of supervision. I'm very proud and thankful. So as our tradition is to have a family member, and we're going to have two of the greatest family members that are in the room tonight, his lovely wife, Catherine, and son, Ben, who I was instructed, it's not Benny Hill, it's Ben Hill. And part of this, for the family that's here, instead of having the chief pin the badge on, which was our tradition, we've adopted a process that we actually stole from the fire department, to have a family member pin on the badge to symbolize how important it is to have the support of our families as we continue to police. Policing can be an all-inclusive job. It can be something that takes over your life. We rely on the families to make sure they remain, it's fine, you're doing great. They remain whole people. We're going to miss some Christmases, we're going to miss some birthdays, but we know that Catherine and Ben and number 2 on the way, congratulations, yeah. We'll make sure that they might not be on the date, but it'll certainly be on our minds and in their hearts and on the holiday. Don't poke Dad. So, very good. Thank you very much.
It's always a special time for us to witness not only the hiring, but promotion, and hopefully eventually the retirement of all of our officers. So congratulations, Justin. We're going to move on in our agenda. I know some of you in the back probably need to go back to work or get home to your families, so if you need to leave, that's okay too. Next on our agenda, we're going to have a presentation by Moraine Park Technical College Dean Pete Rettler and the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee Chief Government Relations Officer Keri Duce. Thank you for being here.
All right, thank you for allowing us to be here. I'm here with Keri to talk about how Moraine Park and UWM are working together to satisfy the higher education needs in West Bend and Washington County. So I'll let Keri start it off.
Thanks for having us tonight. We're happy to be here. As you know, UWM took over Washington County 5-6 years ago, and there's been a lot of transition during that time. And earlier this year, we announced the closure of the Washington County campus. But what was happening behind the scenes leading up to that was Pete and the president of Moraine Park and the chancellor of UWM really working together on how can we best serve the needs of West Bend and Washington County efficiently and to the best we can for the taxpayers. And so we've worked now since October when we announced the closure to return the building back to the city and the county. That process will be complete at the end of June, and there's lots of nuance that goes on there, just in terms of utilities and furniture and fixtures and signage and all the things that happen when you need to return a building that's been operated by the universities of Wisconsin for such a long time back over. But the building's in great condition, and we're appreciative to the city and the county for the great care that's been taken of the building over that time. More importantly, we've been working with the students to get them placed. It's called a teach out plan, and that's required by the Higher Learning Commission. So each student has contact with an academic advisor to kind of figure out what their next steps are. And so for some of those students, it'll be a transfer to Moraine Park. They have an excellent associate's degree program where students can finish out there. Might be a transfer to the main campus in Milwaukee or to our campus in Waukesha. Could be a transfer to Oshkosh or to Madison. So there's individual advising taking place for each of those students. And we do have to report out that information as part of our accreditation. So it's definitely a process where students are emailed, called, run down by academic advisors to make sure they're going to be successful both academically and financially moving forward. So after that, we started thinking about, well, we have all these opportunities, and so Pete will talk about those, but one that we announced back in January is what's called a transfer articulation agreement. It was signed between UW-Milwaukee and Moraine Park, and the nice thing about this for students is once they have that 60 credit associate's degree from Moraine Park, they can seamlessly transfer over to UW-Milwaukee's main campus to finish their degree in under 4 years. And there's a ton of work that happens in the background as it relates to articulating into those programs. And so I'll let Pete talk a little bit about where the team is at in working through that process.
All right, and when we talk about a transfer agreement like that, that's not, you can go from Moraine Park to UWM, but you got to take all these extra classes or retake this one. You're transferring in at a junior status. That's the goal. We've got similar agreements already. We were given a grant a while ago to do similar agreements with UW Oshkosh, and we've got 30+ agreements with them. We've had 2 meetings, actually 3 meetings. We had administrators meet, and then we had faculty get together, because just because UW Oshkosh is accepting that doesn't mean UWM. The faculty are the ones that have to work with the faculty from Moraine Park to get those agreements to work. So we are well on our way. There's been sort of an administrators meeting, and then the faculty met down at UWM and had a great session that day. And then on April 18th, the UWM faculty are coming up to Moraine Park's West Bend campus, and we'll work on it some more then. I was given an email a while ago from Bobby Lane. She's our dean in charge of that, and we are ahead of schedule, and she's very optimistic that things are going to work out very well in that area. So other things that we're working on, first of all, general education classes, associate degree level classes at Moraine Park is not a new thing. We've been doing general ed classes since the 1980s. The thing that is new, that two years ago, our students were given the ability to get financial aid to take general education classes by us without declaring a program or a major. So now if you don't know what you want to do when you grow up, you can come to Moraine Park, you can get financial aid to take different general education courses. We think it's sort of a good thing, because oftentimes in the past, a student might have went right away to school at Oshkosh or UWM or whatever and didn't exactly know what they were going for, might have graduated or left school, and then we first see those students back at Moraine Park when they're 26 or 28 years old. So we look at this as a positive. Some of those students are going to get a 2-year gen ed degree, and they're going to transfer to UWM or Oshkosh or wherever. Some of them are going to see things that are happening at Moraine Park and say, you know what, that nursing, they're out in 2 years, or I could be a CNC operator, or I could do something like that, and we'll catch them a little earlier with that. So we think that's a good thing. So 2 years ago, like I said, we were given that ability. At that point in time, we were sort of a direct competitor with UWM. So it didn't make a lot of sense. So what we're doing now is very positive. The other thing that we're looking at, as you know, we did thank the community. We were able to pass a referendum. So we've got a large building project that's going on at the West Bend campus. I think we're going to break ground in May. And part of that now, and we're still in the works. Does this still work with us? Wow. We're still in the works with this, but it looks as if we're going to have a university center at the Moraine Park's West Bend campus. So UWM might have a few staff there. There might be some classrooms. What's more exciting is we really believe that if the demand exists, we want to bring some 4-year degrees to West Bend. So years ago, when UWM, when it was still UWWC, they partnered with Platteville to have an engineering program, a 4-year engineering degree at the West Bend at the UWWC. That left when UWM took over because they've got their own engineering program, and they have that down at Milwaukee. So at the time when that was created, one of the reasons was to keep Manitou in West Bend and have engineering degrees, available right here in West Bend. So we're looking at 4 or 5 different programs, maybe in information technology, in nursing, business management, and possibly a general engineering degree, which would be really nice. So at this point in time, our institutional research people are surveying our students. We're looking at trends. We're working with UWM to see what is in demand in this area for a face-to-face 4-year experience. So we hope to, if the numbers are there, we'll be able to do cohorts at the West Bend campus. Anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good opportunities. So Pete and I have continued to meet with different community groups, with your Chamber of Commerce, the K-12 leaders in the community to try to understand what the demand is. Because in addition to surveying the MPTC students, we need to really look earlier, right? Like, what do the freshmen in high school want to do? Are they interested in degrees here? Maybe there's businesses, we've spoken to some that have scholarships available, for their employees. So this could be people upskilling, reskilling. So we have to be deliberate about the decisions we make, but we've definitely started to see some good trend data, as Pete mentioned, in healthcare, info security, business, and also some ideas have come up that would potentially be new, like how do you deliver a construction or business management degree to folks that have a 2-year tech degree, but there might be a need in the community to create something a little new and different. So I think it's all been really positive conversations. What we often find is it's just a little slow because we need to figure out where that demand exists so that there's enough students in the cohort to start to deliver that degree. But the conversations have been great, and all the faculty and deans working together have been really creative with their ideas.
All right, at this point, are there any questions that you might have about what we're doing together?
Yes, Alderman Allen.
Keri, you mentioned you've got this program to work with people and get them ready to transition somewhere else with the closure of UWMWC.
Yep.
And you mentioned, we'll just, Waukesha, they can go down to Waukesha. With the announced closure of Waukesha, are these going to just be people that are really good at getting moved somewhere else?
Potentially. It's interesting because with the announcement of that closure, we've done some additional student town halls to answer some of those questions. For some students, it might make sense if they've done 1 year at Washington County to transfer to Waukesha, because then they might know their next transfer location is Madison, as an example. But it's just working with the individual students to figure out what they are looking to do. Some students are hoping to just finish an associate's degree and take a couple more years before they're deciding. Others know what that degree path is, so it's a little easier to then advise them what school they might want to go to. But yes, clearly the announcement of the closure of the Waukesha campus changed a little bit of the communication going to our students.
And some of them are coming to Moraine Park. We've got students, we're up to about 75 students right now that are in what we call a AA, Associate of Arts, Associate of Science, so just a 2-year gen ed degree. So. And that's without doing much marketing at all. So,
and then one further question: the University of Wisconsin system has the program where seniors can audit classes at no charge. Will Moraine Park be participating in that with the loss of UWWC, or?
We've always had the ability to audit classes too at Moraine Park. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, in addition, I would just add, we've talked about some creative ways we might be able to bring different speakers from the Milwaukee campus out to Moraine Park, just ideas that we haven't partnered on before, but might make sense based on community interest.
Model.
Really, just a comment. I really appreciate you guys coming out and explaining some of this. I don't. You may not be aware, but my dad was the art professor at UWWC for 35 years, and I spent my whole childhood wandering around those halls. So it really kind of broke my heart when I heard that it was shutting down. But the idea that you're kind of creating a hybrid is what I'm hearing you say, and that students are going to have an opportunity to get started there and move on, kind of like they were doing before, is fantastic. And I've seen, I'm on the planning commission, so I've seen the pictures of the new addition, and it's really good. It's really amazing. The photos are anyways, so thank you. Thank you for coming out.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you for those comments. The facility is beautiful, and I think that the best thing that's come out of this is the great working relationship between MPTC and UWM.
Yes.
Just an overarching comment that with higher ed continuing to evolve at a pace that we've never seen before, I commend both of you and your organizations in coming together and working in true collaboration. And I think, Pete, you hit the nail on the head at the start. It's how do we meet the needs of students within West Bend and Washington County. And it's great to see the two of you working together to help meet those needs here in our community. So thank you for that.
They're forcing us to work together, Matt.
I know the Campus Foundation has been very strong in Washington County. Can you maybe touch on what their involvement might be going forward?
I know that they've talked about some different options. I don't feel comfortable saying what those are because I'm not sure, but I know that they're very committed to continuing to support students in Washington County, and we've been working with them to sort of transition their operations out of the building. But I certainly know that they have lots of ideas and plans that they've been discussing.
Yep. I don't want to speak on their behalf either, and I didn't know if you wanted to, but you're absolutely right. I do know that they are hoping to continue to be a big part of helping students get higher ed opportunities here in the county. So
Yeah, I think
Thanks.
they're going to have options too, as like our nursing deans met. There's some creative ideas about how we can deliver nursing programs, you know, to upskill and create four-year options from MPTC to UWM nursing, that there could be some potential scholarship opportunities for. You know, those are all the types of things that could be presented to the foundation in the future if they're interested. So we talk about some of those ideas.
And we actually we had the nursing deans talk to each other and came up with some ideas to maybe do it in 3 years to get your BSN in 3 years, which would be pretty cool by changing our first 2 years a little bit to match more what UWM does, so.
any more questions? I really appreciate you being here tonight and giving us that update, and best of luck. If there's anything we can do to help support you, let us know. And be safe driving home in this nasty weather.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right, we will recess our common council meeting and turn it over to Alderman Butchlick.
Good evening. I would like to call to order the City of West Bend Board of Public Works. We have 6 items on the agenda. Item number 1 would be the approval of the minutes from March 18, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Alderman Allen and Alderman Model. Any deletions or additions? There are none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 2, award contract 2405, Sand Drive expansion. Good evening, Max.
Good evening, thank you. This item is to request awarding a contract to expand Sand Drive between Eastern Avenue and Decorah Road. It's a project that responds to identify needs for new developments proposed in the area, which is the tax increment district number 16. And we will extend sanitary sewer and water main in that area, expand the road to urban cross-section with curb and gutter and storm sewer, sidewalk, etc. We received 7 bids that were open on March 22nd and that are summarized in the memo. Vinton Construction is the apparent low bidder, and they have done work in the city on a few projects in the recent years. So we believe they are capable of completing this work per the contract specifications. Their low bid is $1,174,963.11. The engineer's cost estimate prior to bidding was $1,765,453, which is quite higher than the bid we received, which is good news for us, and is similar to what we've seen in the award of a previous contract for Summit Drive we did a couple of weeks ago. And like I did last time, I looked at bid items that to try to understand the difference in pricing. And I found that several items, like the storm sewer pipe, on this contract we have water main pipe, and we did not have on Summit Drive, but I noticed that those prices are maybe lower than what we had in the past. So it looks like this year we're seeing some fluctuation down on some price of several items, and that's why we have this difference, which is good news for us. So at this point, we would recommend that the contract be awarded to Vinton Construction at the unit prices specified in their bid, and also a contingency fund of $65,036.89 for a total allocation not to exceed $1.24 million for this project. TID 16 funds would be used to cover the cost of the project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Alderman Allen, Alderman Model, are there any questions? Yes, Alderman Dalnick.
I'm not sure if you can answer this, Max, or if it would be for Jay, but when was the TIF borrowing for this based on Max's estimate?
We're about to do it, so we're able to borrow just the amount that we need.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? There are none. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 2, award contract 2406, water utility pavement repairs.
Thank you again. This contract is our annual contract to allow water utility to repair pavement where they did water main repairs during the winter season and also continuing during this construction season. So every year we put together this contract to allow those pavement repairs. And we received 2 bids on March 22nd, which are listed on your memo. And we reviewed the bids, we reviewed the qualifications of Always contractors, the low bidder, and based on work done in the past under contract for the city, we believe they are capable of doing the work as specified in the contract. Therefore, we recommend that contract 2406 be awarded to Always contractors for an amount of $116,795 at the unit prices specified in their bid. And we also recommend a contingency fund of $17,519.25. That is 15% of the total bid. We ask for that amount, which is the maximum allowed by statute every year for the contingency, because we cannot predict how many more water main breaks we will have this year, although we always base our quantities on past experience, but we never know if we're going to have a bad year. So that's why the higher number, for a total allocation not to exceed $134,314.25 for this project.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Alderman Allen, Alderman Zingzine. Question? I do, Max. Or John, go ahead.
How does this fall from where we did for last year?
So the low bid for last year was $107,650, and the low bid for the year before in 2022 was $107,737.50. So we are in the same range. We usually see bids for those contracts come at $108,000, $110,000, $120,000. The lowest bid obviously has been $107,000 in the past year, but it's possible that this past winter we had more breaks, so we increased the number for that because of that reason.
Okay, that was my question, Max. Was there quite a few water main breaks this winter?
I'm not sure of the exact amount. I didn't review the entire list.
Okay.
But I did look, I always look at 2 things: what have you done in the past in general for the contract, and also I look at the unit prices to see if they're still in line with what we paid in the previous years.
Okay.
And then I noticed that everything looked normal or acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why my recommendation.
Okay. Any other questions? There are none. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 3, order for removal and replacement of sidewalks under contract 2401.
Thank you. This item is to request an order for removal and replacement of sidewalk under contract 2401, which is the reconstruction of Summit Drive. we need to take this action in order to be able to invoice the property owner for their share of the cost based on the municipal code. So we have an attachment is the order for the removal of these sidewalks along specific properties. We have contacted the property owners and to let them know that this replacement will be taking place under the contract. We followed the policy that was approved in 2004 to determine which sidewalks need to be replaced. And we will send the letter with the policy to the property owners. So we recommend taking action, positive action on this order.
Motion to approve.
Alderman Allen and Alderman Model, any questions? There are none. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 4, order for removal and replacement of sidewalks under contract 2402.
Thank you again. So this is similar to the previous item. This time is for a project of reconstructing Hawthorne Drive from 7th Avenue to 5th Avenue. So with the same principle, we would recommend approving this order as well.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Alderman Model and Alderman Allen, any questions? There are none. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 5, order for removal and replacement of sidewalks under contract 2403.
Thank you again. Similar to the last 2 items I mentioned, this contract is for construction of Butternut Street between Main Street and Ada Lane, and reconstruction of Maple Wine Road between Ada Lane and Sylvan Way, and we would recommend approving the order for the removal of those sidewalks as well.
Move to approve.
Second.
That was Alderman Sternick?
Dolnick.
Alderman Dolnick.
Maybe before I'm off the council.
Okay, thank you, Jed. And Alderman Allen. All right, any questions for, no, none? We have motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
Being no further business before the Board of Public Works, I adjourn as chair.
Finance Committee is called to order. And we have 3 items on the agenda. Number 1, the approval of the minutes for the meeting of March 18th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any corrections? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds, Park Trust Park impact fees. Mike.
Good evening. This evening, our department is requesting approval to transfer $75,000 from the Park Trust Park Impact Fee account to an expense account to be used for the construction and development of the nature playground at Lac La Rand Conservancy. These funds would be used for site preparation, general construction and grading, and the installation of safety fence around the new playground area. The Friends of Lac La Rand Board unanimously supported this project. The Park Commission, Park and Recreation Commission also support this project, and the commission also supported and unanimously approved the use of impact fees to support this site preparation and this transfer of funds this evening. A fundraising campaign will financially support the future development of this project. The $75,000 commitment that we're talking about this evening would allow us to get the site prepped, the grading done, some retaining walls done, a safety fence installed. We don't want to flatten the site. Our site's very undulating, and we like that when we want to use those natural contours and things like that. But we need to make sure we hit some elevations out there to be ADA compliant, in through the main entrance and things like that. This $75,000 would get that work accomplished. As soon as we are done with that, we could actually physically open the playground for use. Once basically the grass is grown and things like that. In storage, we already have some Eagle Scout projects out at the facility that are in storage. We need a location to put them, and this would be where this goes, or where those elements would go. As we would raise donations, we could continue to construct new elements and additional elements for this entire playground site. So some of you might be wondering exactly what is a nature playground. We handed out this evening a good layout of what we are looking at, some of the different features, things like that. Nature Playground is designed to incorporate natural elements and materials into play space. Traditional playgrounds have steel and plastic and large towers and different colors and things like that. And our traditional playgrounds in West Bend are very popular. They are heavily used. If something's wrong with the playground, we get a phone call right away. And and they do. Our customers tell us that all the time. This would be different. We are going to use rocks and stones and logs and trees and stumps. And that's what we're going to use to construct these elements with. Over the last 10 years, our staff has been doing a lot of ash tree removals, things like that. We have those stockpiled. A couple years ago, we harvested the pine plantation out at Rettler Conservancy. With part of that harvesting, we retained some of those logs. We've stripped the bark off them. We have some of them prepared. A couple years ago, the largest elm tree in the city of West Bend, street tree, died. We cut it down over on 5th. We kept large chunks out of that elm tree for this project. We have those on site. So the $75,000 transfer this evening gets our project roughed in, the site ready. Some of the items we have on hand already, we can incorporate into this playground area. We can start using it. This is not a project we want to open up in 2026. We want to open this in 2025, and just continue to grow. Some people have asked, well, Mike, how much money do we need to finish this project? Everything you see on the drawing, that would be just over $300,000. But also in the drawing, we have a machine shed, a storage shed that we have on the property. We would like to convert that storage shed into a small open-air pavilion that would help support this playground area. So as funding continues, we would just keep continuing to grow this site, this playground. We would just, it's not like, oh, we're done. No, we're gonna keep growing it. We've talked about maintenance. Our staff is gonna have to do some of the maintenance. We have volunteers out on site. The site itself, all the brush and the trees have been cleared by volunteers, except a couple of larger trees our staff assisted with. So that's the idea with this nature playground. It's not your traditional plastic slides and towers and things like that. We want to have some towers, but they're going to be made out of logs and wood and natural materials. Also, we're going to have, like on the observation deck, I have a little checkerboard here tonight one of our staff members made. We want to incorporate those types of activities at this facility. Again, ADA compliance with once I'll say the entranceway and everything is finished, mobility devices can get out to that wooden deck. Lots of grandparents take care of their grandkids these days. We can get those grandparents out to that deck. We'll have some of these lighter, easier features out there. Also, they can supervise their grandkids from that point. They don't have to be traversing the entire property to try and watch their grandkids. So, is this a traditional playground in West Bend? It is not. The closest nature playground to West Bend is in Waukesha. It's a Waukesha County Park. From where I'm standing, it's about a 43-minute drive, I believe, from this building, give or take 1 or 2 minutes in this weather this evening. So this is definitely a community destination. The use of impact fees for this, we reviewed it with the city attorney. He gave us the green light. The Park Commission has been involved with these discussions on and off over the last 2 years. This is one of those post-Riverwalk projects that we've been looking forward to getting to this point, this discussion this evening. So with that being said, I'd be happy to take any questions, discuss the project.
Let's get a motion first.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Thank you very much. John?
Yeah, I'm just amazed at this park. I think this is just fantastic. Natural, and Loch Lorena is a perfect location for it. You guys did an outstanding job on this. I'm really happy to see this come through, and I hope it keeps growing.
Thanks, John. We appreciate that. I mean, even the drawing before you this evening, Rick Fox is our project manager. Rick put this entire drawing together. So again, we're going to try and do as much of the work in-house. Site surveying, we did basic site surveying in-house to get us to this point, so we can make some determinations for construction, ADA compliance and things like that. So it's a new project for us, something we've been really wanting to do for the last couple of years, and we're pretty excited to get to this point.
Mark?
Yeah, just a quick question. What's a sensory garden?
So, okay, sensory garden, if you look at the drawing there, I'll say in the, kind of the left side of the sensory garden as you come up, those are ADA compliant or accessible gardens, raised beds. So someone in a wheelchair or mobility device can actually get underneath the garden a little bit to bring them a little bit closer to them. So part of that is they themselves can take care of their own garden plots. They themselves can plant their own materials that they want inside of there. So again, we have our different senses and things like that. For someone that's in a mobility device that maybe cannot get out onto the Conservancy property or around even his playground, that's where they can go and maybe spend a little bit of time out there, get engaged with nature, incorporate something there for them. We're trying to focus on everyone as much as we possibly can. Again, the grandparents, ADA compliance, kids who want to get dirty and muddy and everything else, because that's what this is all about. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Alderman Model?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, being on the P&R committee and having been part of this conversation was pretty incredible, because I started out looking at the site plan, if you want to call it that, wondering what the hell is this? You know, I don't have young kids currently, and so I wasn't familiar with this, but having been part of the original discussion with the P&R committee, and there being a couple of moms on there that had been to the one in Waukesha, they're very excited about this, and the more we talked about it and the more I learned, I'm definitely part of the recommendation for this. So I look forward to seeing this in West Bend.
Yeah, it's very nice, Mike.
Thank you.
So the funds that you're requesting are for city staff, or are you going to have city staff do the excavating and that, or?
Some of the excavating and the one small retaining wall, we would contract that out, including, it's along Schmidt Road. We are concerned about Schmidt Road, the traffic speeds, things like that. So that's why we normally don't construct fences around our playgrounds. But in this particular situation, we're going to want a 6-foot-high wooden fence down along Schmidt Road. Even in the drawing, you can look, we're going to run a cyclone fence into the water so the kids don't even get around the wooden fence. So those are the things we're to contract out. Site restoration after the grading is done and all that, we'll do that in-house. We'll try to do as much of this in-house as we can. Just obviously save money and kind of put our personal touch on this project.
I think that's it then. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
And next, we have a resolution authorizing the sale and the appropriation of funds of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department surplus equipment.
All right, thank you. Several weeks ago, I was before council for the same type of request. At that point in time, I think we had 18 different items we had sold at auction. We want to put we want to put the funds from the revenue account into an expenditure account. This evening, it is the same scenario. Our department is requesting approval to transfer $1,491 from a revenue account to an expenditure account. We would use these funds towards the purchase of a new utility vehicle, and I believe it was 22 different pieces of equipment we have sold, anything from canoes to 1988 dump trucks that were out at Public Works for a bunch of years and then with us and things like that. So I'll say it like this. We cleaned out the house and we were able to sell these items at auction, which is great. I mean, someone's going to be able to utilize some of this equipment. That's wonderful. A lot of it's just no longer functional for us. So this evening we're requesting this final transfer so we can purchase that one piece of equipment. Thank you.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions?
Did
All
you
those-
get rid of my dump truck?
I don't remember whose name was on it, John, but it was number 453, if that helps you.
That sounds very familiar.
Yeah. It was.
I mean, there's a truck as old as you are?
All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll reconvene our common council meeting With our consent agenda up next, items 3 through 9, these were just taken up obviously in committee. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Model and Allen. Any comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our agenda items for consideration tonight start with underground telecommunication easement, and I think, Mike, you're taking us through this.
Yes, in front of you this evening, we have, I'll say, a standard telecommunications easement for along the Eisenbahn Trail. This would be up on the, I'll say, the north end of town in District 7, River Drive, the bridge at Eisenbahn State Trail Bridge across the river down to Jefferson Street. No, I'm sorry, not Jefferson. Jackson Street, thank you. So again, this is an easement between the utility company and the state of Wisconsin because it is a state trail. Washington County and the city of West Bend, we are part of this agreement because we have agreements with the DNR for use on that trail. So that's why this easement is in front of you this evening. It will not impact our asphalt trail sections or anything like that in the city. It'll just impact the trail slightly as they do the installation of those telecommunication systems up in that north stretch. The easement was sent to the city attorney for review. Ian gave us the green light for it, and that is why it's before you this evening.
Thank you. I don't think I took a motion on this yet. Thank you, Sparts and Zingsheim. Any comments, questions, discussion? Yes, Model.
Mike, is that going to go through my garden?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No, this is all way north of there. This is Jackson Street and north.
All right.
No.
Good question. Any other questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. All right, we'll move to a lead lateral grant program discussion, and we'll have Jay kick this off.
Great, happy to. This program has been in discussion since, I guess, formally August of 2023, when County Executive Josh Schoman and Lonnie and the mayor and I met here at City Hall. At that meeting, we learned of their interest in providing funding for the lead lateral removal program, a new program that the county was offering to the city of West Bend. Staff, water utility staff, Ruth and Travis, and I and Scott Schmidt, who is here in the back. Scott's the Chief Public Works Officer and Surveyor for the county. We met several times over the last 6 months, had many different conversations regarding how to access the funds, and at one time we were talking about potentially administering the program through not just 7th and 8th that's before you today, but a bunch of different private side lead laterals. That's not what is before you today. So that's similar to the Hartford program, City of Hartford and City of Menominee Falls and other municipalities that have received grants from the state of Wisconsin in the past have done just the private side lead laterals, and then they wait until they have the opportunity to reconstruct the road to do the public side lead laterals. In West Bend, we've been sort of doing it the opposite way of just knocking out streets when we have the opportunity, like 7th and 8th. We've been doing the public side lead laterals and not necessarily the private side lead laterals. This program essentially does both for the roads that have been selected and are before you today. In addition to that, it goes back to correct the 7th and 8th private side lead laterals and fund the replacement of those for the constituents on those two streets. So the program is before you. I did hand out a couple of changes that were brought to my attention on the two resolutions. In the be it further resolved, Mark Allen caught that we omitted the word for, so applying for the grant funds. You see that in paper copy. I guess, Ian, I'll defer to you on whether that can just be made as a Scrivener's error correction, or if you want a formal amendment to the resolutions, if the council is so inclined. And then the document that is entitled Office of the County Executive, Scott sent that to you by way of email. I received a lot of emails on this topic over the past few weeks. Those have red marks of some last minute changes. You can see the date there, March 29th, 2024. Those changes solidified the agreement between the water utility and city staff and the county. So I'll attempt to answer any questions that you might have. Scott, I'm guessing, would be willing to do the same if there were any questions directly of the county. Obviously, Ruth is here as well from the water utility, but I'm pleased to be here. I'm thankful for Washington County to provide these funds and excited to have this lead lateral program underway.
Thank you, Jay. Any questions, discussion?
Quick question, Ian, do we want to make an amendment when we do this, or
think
how will
you-
that get handled?
I think you can just approve it as amended with this incorporating that typo.
Okay. Do we want to take them as one motion for both, or?
I would like to take them as grant number 1 and grant number 2, so we'll take them separate.
Motion to approve grant 1 as amended?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Allen and Alderman Model. Any questions on grant number 1? Dolnick?
I've got some concerns about both. Should I wait until we get to grant 2, or should I voice them now, do you think?
You know, if you want to discuss them both together, that's fine with me. We've got a motion on the floor, so
Okay.
we can have discussion.
There's just 2 things I want to bring up. Number 1 is, and this is, what's the word? It's a side issue, I guess, but so I don't want to belabor this too much. But all of the documentation, all of the paperwork, the resolutions, and everything else makes it very clear that this is ARPA money. Supervisors Bailey, Garath, and Bossert have been going on record over and over again saying that this is shared money from the sales tax, and I just wanted to be on the record that it is not sales tax money. The other thing I wanted to say is my gratefulness to Washington County, my literally what should be joy for Washington County sharing this federal money is greatly tempered by the events of the past few weeks. The vitriol being directed towards City Hall to our city staff has been disgusting, nothing short of disgusting. Our city staff has bargained in good faith. That's what they're here for, to protect the interest of the city. And the stuff that's been thrown by the county executive, by members of the county board against these good people is disgusting. I'm glad we reached an agreement, but these accusations that we were not bargaining in good faith are belied by all of the emails, by the changes that are right here that Washington County was responsible for. And it's just really unfortunate. This could have been a wonderful event of cooperation between city and county, and instead it's dark. And again, I wish I could be happy about this, but it's the joy has been taken away by the events of the last few weeks.
Alderman Model.
I may not share all of your emotion, Jed, but I do share a bit of your sentiment. I've been in other meetings, perhaps unrelated, but the same kind of message coming through that the county executive or the county board just simply doesn't trust the city to spend taxpayer dollars wisely, and that's like as you said, that's completely inappropriate. It's completely unfounded. And it's frankly offensive. And I don't see us taking this ARPA money as an answer to the sales tax referendum. So I will certainly support it, and I certainly support the work that's been done on both sides. But some of the commentary really we could have done without it.
Yes.
I do have a question for clarification, and Ian and/or Jay, you made reference this. In the agreement with sub-recipient of federal recovery funds terms and conditions, point 2, under the period of performance, the last line says the sub-recipient may use award funds to cover eligible costs incurred during the period that begins on March 3rd, 2021 and ends on December 31, 2024. As we've gone through this process, the plan has been for us to use these funds through December of 2026. And if we are going to be including this as a document that we are formally approving, we need clarification as to whether these funds need to be spent before December 31st, 2024, or whether they are indeed unencumbered until December 31st, 2026.
Scott, can you answer that question? I don't know the answer to that one off the top of my head, because the city handled it separately, handled their ARPA funds differently, so.
And Alderman Sternig, you brought this to my attention just before the meeting. I did forward your question to Scott in an email that he's not seen yet. I didn't have a chance to talk to him in advance. I'm confident it's been discussed all along that we were going to use the money through 2026, that the funds had to be expended through 2026. This is either a typo in the document or a oversight of previous awards that the county provided to other entities from that 21 to 24 window. I don't believe this is at all a gotcha kind of thing. It's just an error that either we can correct Ian if they can make that modification to it, or
So I think,
recommend?
just looking it up quick, I think the 2024 date is the date they must be obligated by, and they must be spent by by 2026.
Okay.
So in other words, as long as we have contracted for the use by the end of this year,
okay.
we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the way that I'm reading it, and if
Yeah,
that being
no, and
indeed.
that's, I'm pulling that from separate information.
that's fine.
So, yeah, we can fix that as needed, but this is mostly an agreement between the city and the county to say that we're going to follow the rules.
Right.
So if the federal rules say it has to be obligated by that date, we
Perfect.
have generally done that. Correct?
Sounds good.
It says use the awards to cover. So I understand where Alderman Sternig is coming from, that the use the awards to cover costs is,
Correct.
sounds like expend them, not just
Correct.
obligate. So
But
Right.
I think the actual federal regulation is that they have to be obligated. We can
Yeah.
double check that.
I
So.
totally agree with that, and confident Scott would too.
Alderman Allen, did you have a comment?
No, that was my understanding as well. The funds have to be obligated to purpose, but they can actually be expended beyond that period of time. And that's in line with federal procurement regulations.
Alderman Sternig.
Just one additional comment. Obviously, I'm thankful for the county for granting us access to these ARPA funds, because it gives us a great opportunity to remove those lead laterals and help repair some of the streets here in the city. So we appreciate everything the county has done to make those funds available to us. I think it's also important to recognize the team that's been involved from the city's perspective on this. Mayor Unger, with your leadership, and Jay and Jess, your work, as well as Ruth Miller, Travis Thull, Max Marichal, Doug Newman, and everybody on their teams who have been involved in the work of getting to this point over the course of the last 6 months. We wouldn't be here without their tireless commitment to this process as well. And this becomes kind of the stepping stone, that first step forward now, where we can actually go and get this work done on behalf of the citizens of the city of West Bend. So I think not only to the county, but also to city staff and the water utility for the time that's already been put in on this needs to be recognized. So thank you all.
Any more discussion? All right, we have a motion on the floor for the resolution approving lead lateral grant 1 program with Washington County. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion on the grant 2 program.
Motion to approve.
Approve.
Thank you, Alderman Dolnick,
As amended, right?
as amended, with the word "for" in there. And is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Zingsheim. Any more comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to our library board report from the March 19th meeting.
All right, thank you, sir. The last meeting of the library board was held on March 19th. I wasn't present, and I really didn't want to make everybody else sad by attending via Zoom while I was sitting on the beach in Gulf Shores, so I won't. But I was able to review the meeting, and we'll provide you with this report. The board approved the agenda and financials, which included a $5,000 donation from the Friends of the Library group, which will be used for programming. Thank you much to the Friends group, and it's really good. It was a really good move that they chose to create this group with a vast number of supporters, so I was really thankful. Library Director Keri reported that staff will be attending the Wisconsin Public Library Association's annual conference in May. He also welcomed the new circulation manager, Julia, who replaces Vanessa, who left to lead the library in Hartford. Welcome to West Bend, Julia. The board president had nothing to report, so they moved directly into agenda items. There were 3 items for discussion. One was action on the Patrons Park gardening plan that we had received a briefing on earlier, and it goes right in line with some of the gardening tips that we heard from Mike this evening. Discussion centered on issues of costs. There will be some costs incurred, so fundraising was an issue. Who's going to be doing the work and who the volunteers are and other issues like that, along with the ongoing requirements for year-to-year maintenance of the project. The issue was tabled for further information for a later date. Number 2 was the ongoing issue of blinds or window treatments in the library. Steve, the library director, had obtained estimates and even had an example installed, and so that we could check it out. The board approved the expenditure from building maintenance funds. Last was an issue with the brick masonry outside the building. Weather has deteriorated them in places that actually presented safety issues. So Steve contacted a contractor and again obtained estimates for fixing the problem. The board approved the repairs as bid. Just a reminder that to check out the library's webpage and social media for ongoing programming and news on activities. I could go on and on. The list was extensive if you look at those things, but I know you want to get to the Park and Recs report, so I won't. The next meeting of the library board is scheduled for the 16th of April at the library. Feel free to join us there. Thank you.
Thank you, Brickwist. Yep. Justice?
Yes, we
Parks
had
and
a
Rec
lively
Commission.
Parks and Rec meeting on March 21st, mostly discussing the nature playground. But we also got into a discussion about the full circle sculpture that was installed. We talked about some no fee required special events and approved special event permits for a number of other events coming up. Approved the exception of donations. Thank you to those folks, and reports.
Thank you. We are at the end of our agenda. Is there any other further announcements tonight? Yes, Alderman Allen.
I have several, actually.
All right.
First, vote early, vote often. Tomorrow is Election Day, and you can vote at any of our 8 gorgeous election facilities where your vote will be properly handled. Second item would be Free Coffee Fridays continues at the library. Check it out. Come at 10 o'clock. It goes about an hour. There is free coffee. And oh, by the way, free cookies. So you can come and get coffee and cookies at the library. There's one more. Oh, yes, bid board meeting tomorrow is not here. It will be at the school district office on Main, just south of Decorah, or just north of Decorah, just past the graveyard. There's the school district office. We're down in the basement, so that'll be at 8:15 in the morning.
Thank you. Any
Planning
other-
Commission is not tomorrow night, it is Wednesday night.
Correct. Thank you. Any other announcements? Any reminders for the community clerk on coming to vote tomorrow?
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah.
So polls are open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Polling locations or any information, you can go to myvote.wi.gov. If you are registering to vote, you do need to bring appropriate or acceptable proof of residency. Photo ID is still required, so we need to have a acceptable photo ID. And thank your election inspectors when you visit them. Thank you.
Thanks for all the hard work in the past couple of weeks with in-person voting, early voting, whatever you call it. Absentee voting, lots of different folks helping out in your office, and of course, you've been working long hours. I would say best of luck tomorrow, but I know that you've got everything handled. You don't need any luck, so thank you to everyone helping with elections tomorrow. Any other announcements? We are adjourned. Thank you.